Well, day 6 produced 2 matches that both were on court for almost 3 hours, a women's match and a men's match, and they are our spotlight matches for today on the tennis. And I'm joined by Simon Ray from Gig. Welcome, Simon.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me.
And commentator Lou Pleming. Hello, Lou.
Hi, how are you, John?
Lovely to have you on the tennis for the first time in 2025. And today we watched Donna Vekic go up against Diana Shnaider, and the result 7-6, 6-7, 7-5. Schneider might not be familiar to a lot of people in Australia, but she's a big-time player, and that's a huge scalp for Vekic.
Yeah, it's interesting because before the match, Ayla Tomljanovic was going to call the match, and she said to me, who do you think is going to win that one? And I said, well, it's a really tough one, isn't it? I mean, Donna has been, I feel like, being a little bit more aggressive since she started working with Sasha Bayan. And for me, if she serves well and she's up in the court, she's going to cause anyone some problems. But then you go Schneider, okay, lefty, she's going to go loopy, heavier, push Donna back in the court. And it becomes a little bit more of an equal equation. And obviously, Schneider has been doing a little bit better, got a higher ranking. And I really thought, I mean, everyone's talking about this young lady to be one of the next big players. Yeah. And I kind of was leaning towards Schneider. And then all of a sudden in the third set, she was up. But Donna just showed such incredible fighting qualities as she does. So great match for Donna out there. And I think with her consistency and the way she's been serving, I think she can cause a lot of people a little bit of havoc.
So how did she do it, Simon?
Well, she was able to get just enough of the points on her terms. And Lou mentioned the strength of the Vekic serve, and that was a defining factor in the match. So from a serving perspective, these two women just go about it slightly differently. Vekic averaged 172 kilometres an hour on first serve today and 146 on second. Schneider's about 158 on first serve and down about the mid-130s, 135 or so on second serve. So really, Schneider, it was her inability to execute on forehand return that was a problem today. Against that Vekic heat on first serve and execute on forehand return that was the problem for Schneider. Made just 55% of her first serve forehand returns today, which then leads into, and Lou mentioned the wrestle and the back and forth that ended up playing out in this third set. Really, if the points were short, it was in Vekic's favour, and she got just enough of them being short. So short rallies won, 87 to Vekic, 74 to Schneider. Once the rallies went long, Lou's already touched on this, 5 shots plus, really it's one-way traffic for Schneider. 36 points to 28 for Schneider. Not one-way traffic, but the odds are certainly in her favour. So Vekic does just enough on serve. Schneider misses just enough, from her perspective, just too many forehand returns against that Vekic first serve. And really it traces back to serve and return.
Will that be a tactic she can continue into the next round against Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova, or is it a different game plan required for a player of that calibre?
Well, I think the Vekic game plan is the Vekic game plan. And when you're able to generate heat on serve and you've got a genuine weapon there on serve, we know about her ball striking from the back of the court. And typically Donna's someone that on second serve return, as we're seeing with a lot of these leading female players at the moment, loves to be aggressive. If she's not inside or on top of baseline, she's really right there, looking to press you as soon as she gets an opening on second serve return. And that's a bit of a consistent theme that we're seeing from some of these leading contenders.
Yeah, I think the challenge with Pavlyuchenkova, though, is she hits about 10 clicks faster than Schneider, and she is hitting big at the moment. I did her match in Adelaide. She was very unlucky not to win that match, but she has been exceptional and winning very quickly here at the Australian Open as well. She looks fit, and if Vekic is inside the court, she's got to diffuse some power and then get Pavlyuchenkova moving. I think that's going to be the issue. It's got to be done pretty quickly. Otherwise, the depth that Anastasia is hitting with, she's been exceptional so far.
Yeah, it's a tricky part of the draw. The winner of Sabalenka and Andreeva awaiting whoever is the victor in that match. Our second match for day 6 for the tennis spotlight is Carlos Alcaraz, who defeated Nuno Borges in 4 sets, 6-2, 6-4, 6-7, 6-2. Borges, he's got a bit of game. It wasn't all smooth sailing for the number 3 seed.
Yeah, I tell you, Alcaraz had to throw himself around the court there. I saw him a couple of times down diving for some volleys, and Nuno's interesting, the way he can slice, the way he can dice. I thought athletically he was really matching him, particularly in that third set as well, where it was so tight. I think Alcaraz is getting better, there's no question. I mean, he's coming off the back of a phenomenal last year. Hasn't played a lot, though, since the US Open. And since that loss to Van der Skel, I mean, that was a little bit of an interesting couple of weeks, I think. But I think he's been back in Spain, working hard physically, and he looks incredible. And he's, I think, 2 3-set matches, or 1 3-set match and 1 4-set match. He's got plenty in the tank.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's maybe the test that, not that you're necessarily looking for, but one that, in 4, 5, 6, 7 days from now, he might be grateful for having had. It's just enough of a test to get the court time up. You come in, as Lou's mentioned, with that limited preparation. Like more of the players, again, there's a trend. More of the players are coming in here fresh without a lead-up event. And so it's valuable court time on the pressure cooker that is Rod Laver Arena. And we did see some phenomenal defense from Nuno Borges. We really did see some impressive stuff. But again, ultimately with the match on the line, it's the firepower that Alcaraz possesses off forehand side. So in terms of ground strokes, 4% winners, 4% of the Borges forehands today were winners. When it came to the Alcaraz forehand, 20%. Okay, so that leads to a winner count of about 30, I think it is, for Alcaraz off the forehand side, and 4 from Borges. And really, that's the gap in the match. It's on Alcaraz's terms more often, and try as he might, defend as he might, Nuno Borges, it's just too hard to stop that firepower that Alcaraz is consistently bringing to the table.
Any other areas where he was able to exploit the Portuguese there? Because he was tested in that third set.
A little bit like we discussed with the Vekic and Schneider match. Once the rallies actually became extended and we saw some of the shot making and some of the defensive capabilities of Nuno Borges, things got interesting all of a sudden. But it's about being able to blunt the weapons that Carlos Alcaraz is bringing. And he's bringing the same amount of firepower in sets 3, 4 and 5 as he is in set 1 and 2. So whilst you might be able to navigate that for a period of time, the challenge that the best players in the world keep throwing at you is, can you stay with them for an extended period of time? So this short rally count, this is really where the match was decided here. 92 for Alcaraz, short rallies, points ending in 4 shots or less, 71 for Borges. Once we went beyond that, really we're coming out in the wash. 25, 37, what have we got? 37 to 38 beyond that. So it's really 50-50. But when it's all about serve and return and who can get the point on their terms when it matters most, it's Alcaraz.
Can you see him going all the way this year?
I can actually. I mean, if you look at the last 6 months, I mean, winning Wimbledon, just recently in China, in Shanghai, I think it was, he beat Sinner. He's beaten Novak a couple of times. I think it's interesting because he's been a little bit of a unknown quantity in the last couple of months, and I think he's been saving himself for this. And the fact that he didn't do well at the US Open, it's given him time to reassess. I think also if we just see his path through, as long as he doesn't have too many, I mean, his strength is physicality, right? But if he lacks a little bit of that firepower because he has a couple of 5-set matches, then it might be a bit tough. Mentally, though, Sinner seems to be looking really good, and he's kind of coming in with the most matches under his belt as well.
Well, plenty to look forward to with Alcaraz as he chases the career Grand Slam, and a bit of history on the line. He's aiming to become the youngest man to ever achieve it. Turning our attention now to day 7 in the spotlight. First of all, our women's match between Elina Svitolina and Jasmine Paolini. Svitolina, somewhat of a sleeping giant in this draw, hasn't had much attention over the
yeah,
journey
it's
so
interesting,
far.
isn't it? I think because she's only ever gotten to the round of 16 here at the Australian Open, so there's not that big talk and the memory of her doing well at the Australian Open. Look, I think also Svitolina, I mean, we know she's had foot surgery. She's been out for a little while. She's very, very, I think... she's pumped to come back and get back to where she's been, number 3 in the world, I think she was. Look, we know she's a great fighter, and I think this is going to be a really interesting match. Who is going to counterpunch? Who's going to be the one that's going to come out and be more aggressive? I mean, Paolini, she's incredible to watch. She's going to try to get the height and shape and spread the court. Svitolina is going to try to get the quicker serve +1, try to be a little bit more aggressive, even though she doesn't have the big strokes. She's up in the court, and the backhand is probably going to do a little bit of damage. She's going to have to try to stay up. But the minute she gets pushed back and Paolini starts to work the ball and she gets the ball up here, then we're going to see some trouble. So getting a high percentage of serves in, I think, is going to be key, and really trying to keep the points a little bit shorter. She doesn't want to have, because, I mean, the legs, how much work has she got under the legs, obviously coming off the surgery. So I think they're going to be key areas where Svitolina has to really execute well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think they are aggressive, but in different ways. So from a second serve return perspective, and that's something we talk about a lot in the women's game, it's a hugely important aspect or element of who's ending up winning these battles. You know, what type of return position do you take up when you get an opportunity to press, to impose, to send a message on your opponent's second serve? Jasmine Paolini, in 2025, she's inside the baseline. 2 out of 3 times she's on or inside baseline on second serve return. Whereas Svitolina, she's only inside the baseline 1 out of every 20 second serve returns.
Okay.
She's typically within 2 meters of the baseline, but even there's 40% more than 2 meters beyond the baseline. So she's actually prepared to yield a bit of court position on second serve return. Still aggressive, as Lou says. Still wants to be aggressive at impact. Still wants to deliver a message in terms of energy on the ball. But she's after a little more time to create, to be able to deliver that hit on the ball. So she's wanting to be aggressive, but prepared to yield court position to do it. Paolini's wanting to be aggressive in the traditional way. She's coming forward, coming at you straight away, looking to get the first strike in. And clearly, both phenomenal athletes. Looking forward to this one very much.
All right, our second match for Spotlight on day 7 is between Ben Shelton and Lorenzo Musetti. And Lou, Shelton has come through the draw against Brandon Nakashima and Pablo Carreño Busta to reach the third round. Musetti has come through his countrymen Matteo Arnaldi and Denis Shapovalov. He's been tested a little bit more. So how do you see this third round match playing
it's interesting as well because just beating Shapovalov, he's had an opportunity to look at the lefty. Obviously, Ben and Shapovalov play a little bit differently. Shapovalov heavier, a little bit more spin. But the pace and the power from Ben, that's going to be interesting if that is on, if he's really on fire. Musetti, I love the way he plays. He's going to throw everything at him. He's very dynamic. He's a great athlete. Serve, he'll throw the serve and volley in. He'll mix it up a little bit. He's got the 2 wins over him, so he's coming in here with more confidence. And neither of them have really been tested with too long on the court, so they're both going to have fresh legs. It's really whether Ben is going to find the big power consistently enough to beat Musetti, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I think Lou's described it really, really well. It is going to be a game of cat and mouse from a tactical perspective because Shelton, Lou's right. Shelton's got the firepower on serve. He's going to hit the bigger first serve. He's going to hit the bigger second serve. In fact, he may have as much as 20 kilometres an hour on Musetti from a second serve perspective.
Yeah.
So he's bringing much more heat. And Musetti, he's okay with that. What he's going to do to counter that is he's going to retreat. He's going to give up court position to buy time, and he's going to back his skill. Having called the match the other day against Shapovalov, even if you serve volley Musetti, and he looks like he's out of the picture, it looks like he's gone for all money, he will back his ability to take pace off the ball. He will use the chip return off both sides, and he will make it awkward. He will force you to volley up, and then he will back his extraordinary foot speed and his ability to generate speed and spin on forehand. He's got a running forehand that's the equal of any man left in the draw to kind of draw equal or find a way through the lengthy battle that he wants to engage in to do the damage with his forehand. So Shelton will be looking to keep the point short, backing his firepower. He'll be coming at Musetti. Musetti will be okay with that to a point. I think that's a watch. Let's see how that works out from the perspective of Musetti. Because if he backs up too far, he may be struggling to get a racket on the ball off Ben Shelton. So I think the tactical cat and mouse that exists in this contest, really excited to see how that plays out.
Who do you reckon wins it, Shelton or Musetti?
I think Musetti. I think the Italian is going to be drawing off the confidence from the number 1 seed as well. The Italians are they're really enjoying having a good leader out there. And it's just been great for Italian tennis.
What a campaign it's been. Any more from you, Simon?
Yeah, well, I think it's 2-0 to Musetti in this head-to-head. Lou mentioned it, 2-0 to Musetti over Ben Shelton, but I think the tables start to turn tomorrow. I think Shelton finds a way to get this done in a 5-set marathon battle.
It's a 1-1 split here on the panel. All will be revealed as day 7 gets underway, continuation of the third round. If you'd like to listen to this episode in full, just search for The Tennis wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to this video so you can watch all of the episodes during the tournament and throughout the year. Plenty of great content on Australian Open TV. But for now, Lou, thank you very much. Simon?
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you tomorrow.